Thank you for that. And I'll move into apologies. The only apology I'm aware of is Kylie Leonard, and it would seem Wahine for lateness. Are there any others? No, I think everybody else is present and accounted for. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, that we accept those apologies? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Westerman, seconded by Councillor Woodward. All righty. Are there any conflicts of interest pertaining to this agenda? I have to declare a conflict of interest myself with item 5.3, the Taupo Time Bank lease. I am actually a trustee on the governance board for that charity. I will be abstaining from voting and I will be leaving the table. No other conflicts of interest? We'll move on. We've got a quorum. Yes, we do. Yep. Right, so confirmation of minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes of the previous meeting? There being none, we'll move on. All right. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, that they are a true and accurate record of proceedings? Moved by Councillor Woodward, seconded by... Oh, you've got a change? Oh, no, you weren't there. Yeah, no. Is there somebody who was present at the... Okay, Councillor Westman, is there someone who's happy to second those minutes who was present?
I'm happy to second, and apologies for my lateness.
Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, well now we move into the public forum. Welcome Bajindra from Bombay Bistro. Come up to the desk here if you like and just push the button, the speaking person button. Can you see it there? Yeah, perfect. All right, well, we'll hand over to you. You've got 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So good afternoon, Mayor, Councillor and Committee Member. My name is Bijinder Singh. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak regarding the concession for the Robert Street. I appreciate the time you have given me to speak regarding this matter. And I believe this application strongly aligns with Council long-term vision for the Robert Street as a pedestrian-friendly and outdoor dining-focused area. As I understand, the Council has a long-term plan for the street to reduce or remove vehicles access and create a more welcoming environment for the pedestrian visitors and the local businesses. My proposals support and contribute positively to that vision, and outdoor dining is very important for my business for several reasons. So firstly, it helps create a vibrant and attractive atmosphere for customers, visitors, and outdoor dining encourages people to spend more time in the area, increase foot traffic, and contribute to a lively community environment. This benefits not only my business, but also neighboring business and the wider local economy. Secondly, outdoor seating has become an important part of the hospitality industry. Many customers actively prefer outdoor dining options, especially family, tourists, and people looking for a relaxed dining experience. And thirdly, I believe fairness has become an important fairness and consistency are important. Other nearby businesses already operate significant outdoor dining area, and I respectfully request the same opportunity to operate fairly and competitively within the same area and under the same council framework and guidelines. I also want to assure the council that I'm committed to operate responsibly. I will fully comply with all council requirements regarding public access, noise control, safety, and pedestrian movement. I understand the importance of maintaining a safe and welcoming environment for everyone using Robert Street. My intention is not only to support my business, but also contribute positively to the atmosphere, attractiveness, and future success of the area. I respectfully ask the council to support my application and allow my business the opportunity to contribute to the future vision of robust street and vibrant lakefront pedestrian and world-class outdoor dining destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Bajendra. I think there could be a couple of questions around the table, and just for clarification, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions from anyone at all? Councillor Woodward?
Thank you. I just wanted to say I appreciate you taking the time to come in and, put your case to us. It's not always easy, so just appreciating that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it is a difficult task to sit in front of council members, I know, but you did very well. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions before I ask Bajendra to take a seat?
Just
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Just one more. Sorry. So with the car parks as they currently are, if it is changed into a dining area, just understanding the area over there and just looking at the map that I've got in front of me, will there be cars driving through on one side?
As it currently driving one side only.
No. So when so if these are the car parks, you're seeing those. So people will be coming out of KFC, and then as they're coming out, you're going to have people sitting right.
No.
Is it right next to where they're coming out?
There is a plant over there, so there's almost 2 meter space there before they're turning the left. So we're not using that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm just thinking about public safety.
And we also have, if we got the approval, we also have the little fence around there for the planter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, a fenced off area I think would help. Definitely. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mayor John?
Not a question, but a statement. Thank you very much for investing in Taupo. We certainly need facilities like this. Well done. Great little restaurant.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bajendra. If you want to just take a seat, we'll get into the next part of the meeting, which happens to be your item.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course. There's also a recommendation here that the Regulatory Committee receives the comments from the member of the public. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Murch, and a seconder, please. Mayor John, thank you very much. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, moving right along. Item 5.2, licence to occupy car parks outside Bombay Bistro, 24 Robert Street. And up. Thank you. I'll let you get set up and you can get underway as soon as you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Chair and the Councillor. I'd like to introduce myself to the new faces. My name is Anand Dahal and my role to the Council is I'm a Transport Asset Engineer. So I'm here for the proposal for the Vijendra. The agenda item is about application for Bombay Bistro to use 3 car parks outside their shop at 24 Robert Street for outdoor dining. The proposal aims to support local business and make the town center more active and welcoming, as Vijendra explained. While this would remove 3 parking spaces, but similar outdoor dining areas are already working well nearby. So my recommendation is to approve the license for 3 years with an option to renew for another 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anup, there's very likely to be some questions around the table, if you don't mind. Questions of clarification for Anup around the table? Councillor Murch.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm just interested to kind of understand where the neighbouring restaurants such as Lone Star also operate in a similar way. What are you able to tell me what type of lease or license year or term that they have?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. This question is outside my expertise, outside my assessment. So sorry about that. So I can get back to you on that. Thank you.
Okay, Duncan, you've got a question.
Yeah, just a question about those 3 parking spaces. I mean, I know P15 at the moment, which was more relevant to when Domino's was there, but I suppose KFC next door as well. But do you have any? Did you measure or have any idea of how well utilised those parking spaces are?
Through the chair, the proposal is for 60 meters square, the area for the outdoor dining. So I can make sure that 60 meters square is fit in well in there without compromising any safety risk to the.
No. Sorry, I mean, the parking spaces, the 3 car parking spaces. How much of the time do they get used by drivers?
Are they
Day by
well
day
used
of the
car
week?
parks?
Sorry, I'm not aware of that, but I can pull out some data and get back to you on that.
Would you have data unless I can't see how you'd have the data unless you purposely went to gather it actually.
As a part of my assessment, I could go there and make a judgment myself, standing there for like a couple of hours and see how traffic behaving. So that would be the answer to your question. I can come back to.
So in that case, was there some time spent engaging and understanding those car parks and how they were used when you came up with your recommendation? Is it just that you don't have the information on hand?
Yes, yes, I didn't include my assessment from that point of view, but I could further investigate and come back to you if necessary.
I would probably suggest that information being on hand for this meeting would have been helpful for us to make our decision today. I'll just like that noted actually. We might have to come back to how we're presenting our papers. Are there any other questions at all? Oh yes, Hope, sorry about that.
Thank you. Yes, my question is around consultation. I'm just wondering, at any time when any of the other car parks have been transferred into the dining seated outdoor area, has there ever been consultation when that's happened?
Through the chair, my apology again. This was before my time, so I wouldn't have that information with me right now, but maybe.
Through the chair, I may be able to assist with engagement. I know that there was significant engagement undertaken with the entire Robert Street development that happened a few years ago, and so engagement did take place at that point in time, which I believe was around 2021.
During that engagement, was there any talk about the use of the car parks, how many car parks needed to stay, how many needed to go, timing of the car parks, allowance of vehicles being allowed to park there?
Yes, there was, and as you're aware, there is a legal opinion on the consequences of that engagement and a agreement that was made at that time as well.
And actually I was quite heavily involved in those discussions at the time, and as I recall, the space was actually intended as concession space, but Domino's they preferred the 15-minute car parks for their business because it was a takeaway.
Understandable.
So yes, there was engagement, and the plan went back a couple of times, and that was what was decided at that time for that business. Since then, I guess the passage of time, we've now got this request in front of us. So I know Lone Star was another one that concession space was granted under the exact same process that we're following now, and it was the Reserves and Roading Committee back then. It's now called the Regulatory Committee.
So do we have any of that information in the agenda, any of that context of the engagement that was undertaken?
I do note that the significance and engagement policy was reviewed by staff, and it was deemed to be low risk for consultation. We have a policy that sort of looks at the cost of consultation as well as other factors and whether or not it's significant enough that it would justify public consultation. The delegation of this committee is to make those decisions without consultation if it's deemed relevant by the staff under the significance and engagement policy. And it was the recommendation that the significance of this particular decision didn't warrant public consultation.
Thank you for that information. I do accept that, and I am fully understanding it. However, I have actually disagreed with staff's recommendation on that in the past, and because this is a significant public area, I would have liked to have seen some public consultation on this basis.
And I think that just goes back to my point earlier, that if there was some discussion with people regarding this, and that's how you came to your recommendation, it might be helpful in future just to note that in your paper. Wonderful, thank you. Councillor Westman.
I must probably have my 5 cents worth, because we've got a business on Robert Street and was quite involved in the communications over the period when the change came forward from 2-lane to 1-lane, and there were a lot of the restaurants along the street who were pretty anti losing car parks, and quite a lot of work went into negotiating that, and then eventually a number of them took up the concession space to run their outdoor dining, and they've found that to be quite beneficial for their businesses. Obviously we had a pizza delivery sort of business running from there, so they didn't opt for that, and we just had the 15-minute car parking. 3 car parks in the scheme of things I don't think is going to impact too much on the flow of Robert Street or KFC or anything like that. And it is becoming more and more frequented by restaurants, and I think the less cars we can encourage down Robert Street, the better. So, you know, I'm actually in support of having that concession space for the applicant.
Any other questions?
Are
Mayor
we-
John.
Are we in discussion?
Yeah,
or-
good question. I was just about to say the same thing. If there aren't any, is it a question of clarification? Rightio.
No, I mean, there's been, this is a question, there's been the future of Roberts Street. Shall we even continue to have traffic down it? I'm just interested that we've never really had a workshop or a discussion amongst us of what we want the future of Roberts Street, and if there is.
Sorry,
is
I'm
there-
just
is there
waiting for
such
the
a
question there,
is
Duncan.
Is there a workshop coming up?
I think we'll just have to come back to the agenda item, but I'll look into that. But we've got a paper on
Well, no,
our agenda that we need to address.
Oh no. Well, the absolute relevance of this is, as I see it, this is a piecemeal removal of parking, which could be seen as a precedent that others may follow, and we haven't even really decided what we really want Robert Street to end up
Well,
looking like. Yeah,
I
that's
guess
the relevance
there's
to me.
already a precedent there with Lone Star, so that's sort of a moot point. And I guess we will have to come back to Robert Street, but it was a big piece of work for the entire CBD, as I recall, that we sent the staff away to look at. So, with the aim of it not being piecemeal, actually. So I think it's a big piece of work, and it is in the long-term plan, but in the immediate future, we've got a decision to make today with this agenda item. So, are there any other questions of clarification?
I'm waiting for the discussion segment.
All righty. Well, I think we've finished. Thanks, guys. We'll move into debate now and discussion. All right. So, you first up then, Mayor John.
Personally, I think it's great to have an eat street where people can go there and eat, and I endorse having that car park area turned into dining. It's good for Taupo, it's my personal view.
Thank you, Your Worship. Any other? Okay, let's see. Actually, I think it's Duncan. It is. Yep, number 15. That's you.
Oh look! I've got to say, my tendency right now is to oppose this, but it is on the grounds that we haven't decided what we want Robert Street to do, and this is I mean, I'm welcome. Maybe you can convince me otherwise, but I see this as a piecemeal approach, and I mean, by the logic that removing a few car parks will increase the vibrancy in your place, why don't we get rid of them all? And that'll improve the whole thing. But we haven't had that discussion, and that's entirely what it could end up being. And it does not seem a very strategically wise thing to do to just go piecemeal and remove. Because the other point of this is parking spaces are actually a public amenity. They're a public amenity for the public to use, and for the benefit of the rest of the users of Robert Street. We haven't talked to them, we haven't asked their opinions of it. I mean, maybe we talk to. I mean, I wouldn't possibly. Maybe I wouldn't open up the consultation to all of Taupo District to comment on these, but I would certainly be wanting to consult that frontage of Robert Street and get their views on it. Maybe they're all in agreement and they all agree that those car parking spaces down Robert Street are not much use anyway, but we haven't heard from them, and that's why I don't think I'll support this.
I guess the flip side to that could be that competing businesses might have a reason to turn down outside concession space that they already have. So we've got to be pretty careful with that as well. Any other discussion? Hope.
Thank you. Yeah, similar to Councillor Campbell, I'm not sure, one, that we've actually got enough information to make this decision, given that we don't understand how well used the car parks are. There's been no consultation. We haven't heard from any of the other restaurant owners or the public who use that area. Personally, I am, the ward councillor for Mangakino Polkane. I'm not actually in Taupo very often. I don't know how well used that area is. I know the Rotorua Eat Street, which is a beautiful space, and I agree with Mayor John that we could have a space like that too. I'm not opposed to the idea. It's just I don't know if we have the correct information to actually make the decision. And I think that, similar to also what Councillor Campbell was saying, that we need to come up with an entire plan for that whole area, and I think doing things in bits isn't the right strategy.
Yeah, thank you for that, Hope. I guess I'm just going to go back to the body of work that I know is coming, and it's an assessment of the entire CBD and how that layout is working and what changes we may need to impose there. So I am very conscious that work is coming up, but I'm also really conscious it's a big body of work and it is some time away. I don't agree with piecemeal either, and I certainly wouldn't want to only look at Robert Street when I considered this. So understanding that we've got a bit of time ahead of us and we have an agenda item on the table, we're going to have to make a decision today. Any other questions? It looks like, Duncan, you're next, and then Councillor Murch. Oh, it's come up the opposite way round on here, but Councillor Murch, you can take the mic.
Thanks. Yeah. Look, my 5 cents to this whole discussion, it's actually siding with the likes of Yvonne and John in terms of looking at it from the perspective of we've got Robert Street, we've got a lot of business owners along that street who have who have an outdoor eating kind of experience at the front of their business. We're talking about 3 car parks here, 3 15-minute car parks that are going to be lost. The only advantage, if we were to obtain them, is for maybe council to look at extending that 15-minute car park to a 60-minute car park. So it's not as if though we're going to lose a whole bunch of car parks. It's 3 car parks. We have a business owner who's contributing to the vibrancy and the look of our town. If you're driving along Robert Street, you're going to go past all of these restaurant owners who have the exact outdoor dining experience that this business owner is requesting to have. I'm going to support that we do actually consider granting this business owner what he's requesting of us, because a lot of other restaurants alongside him are doing the exact same thing. B, we're only talking about 3 15-minute car parks here, and even if we were to extend them to 60 minutes, I can guarantee you it doesn't take 60 minutes for a whole family to go into a restaurant and sit down and dine. It's going to take them longer than that. So I think with all of those considerations in mind today, I'm going to be supporting this business owner. Thanks.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, look, I just interested the suggestions that this is a really big body of work. I mean, I don't think you need to be looking at the entire CBD parking situation to be able to make an assessment of little old Robert Street. I don't think it's such a big body of work at all.
I guess I'm just picking up on your point that we're avoiding piecemeal work.
Oh, no, yeah, and I really do see that as this. I mean, perhaps 15 minutes isn't very good for now, but change it to 60 or 90 or whatever. But we haven't heard back. We haven't even talked to the. I mean, maybe before this meeting, I could have rustled around and talked to all the restaurant owners and see what they thought, but I didn't. And but I just feel for this sort of thing that's the sort of feedback we should have before deciding.
Thank you, Duncan. And I hope that you're next. But Anup, I think, did you have something to address? Yeah. Okay. Come back up if you like. And then I'll be going to Hope and then Wahine after that.
Thank you, Chair. The consultation has been done with KFC and Lone Star, and they're very supportive with the proposal. Thank you. That's the consultation been done by customer himself, so they're supportive with the proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, so Councillor Hope Woodward, you're next.
Sorry, on that point. On question, can I? Is that all right?
Sure.
Oh, no, I'm interested. It just occurred to me that KFC, because they're right next door, that's interested that you've got their written concession to this, because they of all are the most I could imagine litigious of if anyone was going to be. So you've got a written concession.
Yes, the answer was yes to that. So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you. And I'll let you step back down. Thanks very much. More discussion from
Yes.
Hope.
Thank you for that extra information, by the way. That's good to know. It's not that I oppose the restaurant having the car parks. I would just like to, and I fully support business, and I know exactly how hard hospitality can be. I just would like to know where the public sit with this, especially considering we already have such an outcry for public parking. And I understand that these spaces are only 15-minute spaces, but we could make them 90-minute spaces for people to park and enjoy food. So that's where I'm sort of having the trouble with deciding this.
Okay, yep, thank you. Councillor Murch, you're next.
Just on the other side of the whole Robert Street is a Wilson's car park. I know it's not free, but I just want to put that out there. Again, this is only 3 car parks. It's only going to fit 3 cars at a time. So I think I hear you, and I agree that, yeah, we should be absolutely supporting our business owners. But I just think that along Robert Street, we have a whole bunch of restaurants who are doing the exact same thing. So why can this business owner not have the same?
Thank you, Wahine. Duncan, you've got something
I'm
else
just
there?
saying, you haven't convinced me. I'm sorry. I will still be voting and oppose because, I still think it's a piecemeal approach, and we should be hearing from what the rest of Robert Street think. I don't really think it's enough just to ask. I mean, it's better than nothing. We asked the adjoining businesses. That's interesting, and that's good. It's better than nothing, certainly, but I don't think we've consulted wide enough, to be honest, to be able to make a decision.
I'm comfortable that the significance and engagement policy has been adhered to there. So just moving on from that, any other discussion? Wahine.
Yes, I'm not trying to, no. I think it's also an opportunity for us to try and get people out of their cars and walking into our township to actually take in and enjoy the whole vibrancy of Taupo. We've got Te Atia there right along Robert Street. We've got beautiful lights in the evening, and we see quite a lot of foot traffic happening throughout there. So again, I don't know how much significance or what the impact would be if we were only to remove 3 car parks.
Thank you, Councillor Murch. Mayor John, you had something to add?
Just to make my point clear, I do support dining in Taupo. It's a vibrance of the city. I like Indian meals as well, despite having my own restaurant. So I do support it.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Councillor Woodward.
Thank you. I'd just lastly like to make the comment that while I understand Councillor Murch's point there, again, it is 3 car parks, but you could say it in the term, it's just 3 car parks, or you could say it in the term, it's 3 car parks. It just depends on the way that you're putting your tone behind it. So it's either or, and this is my point, is that we actually need to hear from the public about what they wanted to do with it.
Councillor Murch.
I reckon we would spend more time and more money engaging with the wider public on these 3 car parks. The cost would probably be more in terms of engagement. If you're talking about going out public-wide for public consultation, what's that going to cost us? How much resource are we going to put into it? And how long is that going to take for just 3 car parks?
Thank you. Councillor Campbell, you're up
Well, no,
next.
through the chair, just the thing of engagement. I mean, look, a letter drop to the frontage of Robert Street and asking for feedback within a week or two. That doesn't cost a fortune. We don't have to open it up. We don't really have to open up to the whole of the Taupo district. That would be enough.
I would still have some concerns about a conflict of interest. A business that has concession space may not want the competition next to them to have the concession space. So I think, we are voted to make decisions on behalf of the Taupo district. This is a delegation for that purpose. I'm comfortable that our policy of significance and engagement has been looked at and assessed, and it's been assessed as low risk. Now, if there isn't any further discussion, I'll draw everybody's attention to the recommendation on the screen. And it states that the Regulatory Committee grants Bombay Bistro a 3-year licence to occupy space of approximately 60 square metres, currently providing 3 diagonal parking spaces outside its premises at 24 Robert Street for outdoor dining starting on the 1st of June 2026. With one right of renewal of 3 years, fees shall be paid in accordance with the Council's operative fees and charges. Do I have a mover and a seconder for that recommendation?
I'm happy to move that recommendation, Rachel.
Thank you, Councillor Murch, seconded by His Worship the Mayor. All those in favour? Could you just hold your hands up so I could see? 1, 2, 3. All those against? Carried. Thank you very much, staff, for your time and attention to this matter, and also elected members. That was really, really good discussion. You can actually log my vote as in favour as well. Okay, the next on the agenda is item 5.3, request for new lease, Taupo Time Bank. So as I have a conflict of interest with this agenda item, I'm going to remove myself from the chair, and Yvonne as deputy is going to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Warwick. The purpose of the report is for our committee to consider the granting of a new ground lease at the Taupo Time Bank Community Trust for part of the local purpose reserve at 250 Spa Road. I'm hoping everyone's had the time to read through the information supplied. And here's Billy to speak on behalf of the council staff.
Yeah, cool. There's a method to the madness through the chair. Kia ora, Billy V, kai tohu tohu paparahui, Reserves Advisor with the Parks and Reserves team. So the purpose of this agenda is for the committee members to consider granting a ground lease to Taupo Time Bank at 250 Spa Road, which is a local purpose reserve. So in 2023, a recommendation was adopted by the now disestablished Reserves and Roading Committee to grant Time Bank a ground lease over part of the reserve, and it was granted pursuant to Section 61, subsection 2A, subsection B, which says farming, grazing, cultivation, cropping and other like purposes. Now, this section gave Time Bank the ability to establish a community garden, but it failed to capture any other activities that the Trust may consider in support of its charitable purpose and services to the community. So the recommendation within this agenda is to grant a new ground lease pursuant to section or subsection A, which is community building, play centre, kindergarten, plunket room or other like purposes. Now, it's not a physical building that matters in this section, it's about the beneficial services provided to the community. This would allow the Trust to operate as a social enterprise on the reserve with commercial-like methods, with all financial profits reinvested in the Trust's charitable purpose in servicing the community. Now, I did have a quick look at the deed of trust this afternoon. I can guarantee in clause 10 that it says no private profit. The proposed ground lease sits separate to the council-owned buildings on the reserve. However, the proposed 2029 end date for this lease would align with those buildings just to maintain consistency across the reserve. I'm happy to answer any questions. I will attempt to answer any historical questions with what I know. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Billy. Any questions, Wahine?
Thanks, Billy. Just curious to know whether you have. I'm assuming you guys have had conversations with the Taupo Time Bank themselves. Are you able to kind of give a bit of a high level hit in terms of how often the Taupo Time Bank is used, or how much members of the public kind of flow through the Taupo Time Bank?
I might get Councillor Cameron to come and answer that.
I can answer that. There is a facilitator at the gardens every single day, Monday to Friday, and some weekends. We have school groups that come through, sometimes a morning and afternoon session, 3 times a week typically. We also run workshops, community workshops, whether it be a full day DIY workshop on a Saturday, or it might just be a hydroponics workshop, or it might just be a garden bed building workshop. So it's actually really well used. We've got a community open day at the end of the month as well. So yeah, we keep it open as much as we possibly can, whilst also ensuring a bit of security.
Councillor Campbell.
Oh yeah, just a question about maybe Rachel might be able to answer this one. Yeah. If we didn't approve this change, then I suppose I should read this here, shouldn't I? But aren't able to continue. It's right. Okay. So if we didn't. Can you explain in your own words the consequence if we didn't approve this?
Well, we wouldn't have lawful use of the land, and we would probably not be lawfully able to operate our charitable purpose. We'd have to pack up, I would think, if we didn't have a lease.
No, okay. No, it's just that I remember us doing this lease, 3 years ago. Okay, but there was different intentions at the time.
At the time it was specifically just for gardening, but we had always had aspirations to be able to fund ourselves by perhaps charging a membership or running workshops at a cost to be able to keep resources up for the charity. That created a difference in the lease in terms of land use, so we've had to come for another recommendation, and also it was helpful because we'd like to align the leases as well so that they're lined up with the buildings that we currently operate out of.
Hope.
Thank you. Just a question of, has there been any other interest in the space from anybody else?
Through the chair, not in the area that Time Bank occupies, more so in the front at the entrance, a lot of mobile vendors. But in the 2 years I have been with us, there have been no queries.
I can a little further. The land in question before Taupo Time Bank asked to use it was 6-7 foot tall blackberry and gorse. No one could use it. No one could use it until we were able to clear it and create a community space.
Thank you, Councillor. It wasn't the land I was referring to, it was just the building itself.
This is just for the land at the moment.
Oh, this is just for the land?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Wahine.
Just a question, and it might be for you, Rachel. Are there any sort of social enterprise operations running, any other ones running in the district, and are they as well established as the Taupo Time Bank?
Hospice is a social enterprise. They operate a commercial retail shop that funds their charitable organisations. You could also argue Waiora House on local purpose reserve. They are maintaining the new Waiora House and they charge a fee for that. It all goes back into the trust. It's the same premise. Yeah.
And I think there's the Waipihi Gardens.
Yeah, there's the Waipahihi Gardens as well. I did note that they're also running workshops now and selling tickets, so it's similar, very similar.
Maybe just a thought that is on people's mind is, you know, some of your vision is quite big, which is great to see. And if you don't mind me just asking you to stay on there for a moment, Rachel, it's all, if there was any funds raised from those events, your plan is just to put them back into the operational side of the business, as you call it?
Under our deed of trust, we're obligated to put it back into the trust. It is very specific in its wording that there is no private profit. It all must be going back into the community. And one of the aspirations we have is, as I say, we have these school groups coming through. We teach them how to germinate seeds, plant the seedlings, harvest the food. We'd now like to be able to establish a kitchen that shows them the full garden to plate. And then there's the potential of becoming a registered kitchen is the hope, and then we might actually be able to sell some of the food that these kids are producing, and then they have a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit that then goes back into the charity. And it's yeah, we have a lot of aspirations for community growth.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can you explain to me under financial considerations what that is? There's no numbers there. I assume is there no fee payable?
Through the chair, no. So typically I get the fee from our property team. There's a way that they calculate cost recovery. But yeah, no, I didn't provide a fee because I didn't want to tie the committee in to anything.
Is that the intention? There will be no fee. It's a charity, and I'm not got no problem with that. But
through the chair, our recent approach is cost recovery for concessional leases. So what needs to be considered is all of those costs that council will incur as a result of the lease, and that is on charge to the lessee.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Billy? No? Thank you very much. We'll move into discussion. Hope.
Thank you. Not necessarily something to discuss, but just a statement that the Taupo Time Bank is an exceptional idea. My children have used this space quite a lot. When I homeschooled my children, we used a number of their classes, and Blair, who does a lot of that, is incredible and very knowledgeable, so I think it's absolutely something to support.
Hope. Wahine.
I just want to support that, Hope. I think it's what Taupo Time Bank are doing, and just to see the comparisons in terms of what the site looked like in 2023 to now has been a huge effort from these people at Taupo Time Bank, and I would push for that type of culture to kind of be applied district-wide in terms of social enterprise, education, the whole shebang. It's such a cool initiative, and very, very valuable for our young people in our kindies, kohanga schools coming up. So yeah, thanks guys.
Great. Hey, some good discussion around the table. Is there any other points that anyone wants to make? No? I'll read out the recommendation, which is on the screen, that the regulatory committee firstly agree to relinquish the existing ground lease, and number 2, agree to grant a new ground lease to the Taupo Time Bank Community Trust pursuant to section 61(2)(a) of the Reserves Act 1977, with the lease term expiring on the 30th of October 2029 to align with the resolution TRAG, should have gone to Specsavers, 503/01. I'd like to ask for a mover of that resolution. Thanks. Recommendation.
I'm happy to move.
Thank you, Councillor Murch and the Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Fennell. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried.
Right. Thank you for that, Yvonne. I really appreciate you jumping in there, and thanks, team, for the good discussion. Okay. Now we are up to item 5.4, upcoming Taupo District-wide Reserves Management Plan project. Could I have, is it Cara Scott and perhaps supported by Nick? No, just in the background. Over to you, thanks, Cara. I think you can take the report as read, but there will probably still be questions.
Kia ora koutou, committee, for those who don't know me, ko Cara Scott, tōku ingoa, he kai tohu tohu kaupapa here aho. I'm a senior policy advisor with the policy team. This is an information purposes paper to update you on the project that's coming up and just let you know about next steps as well. So we are looking at updating all of our reserve management plans that are quite out of date, some of them. There's about 14 separate management plans, and the process would be to first of all consolidate all of those, look at the background information, see what's out of date, and then start through a process of early engagement with the community, partnering with our iwi hapu where we co-manage some of the reserves, and then eventually undertake a formal consultation process. I've highlighted the management plans that are out of date, so in order to do that process we'll need a decision-making committee, and our paper that will be going to council next week, where you'll be able to debate this, our recommendation is for the regulatory committee to be that hearings committee. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Cara. Any questions from the members? Duncan?
Yes. Well, of course, you're telling me it's an agenda item on next week's. Oh, all right. Well, look, I do have a little bit to say on this, so please bear with me. There are some questions for staff in there.
Could you stick to questions now and then come back to statements after, just in the interest of time? And also, I wouldn't want Cara to be brought into any debate. Is that okay if you just go with the questions first?
Well, no, I have to give the context of the questions, otherwise the questions don't actually make sense. It won't take long.
Okay.
Look, the Reserves Act requires management plans to be kept under continuous review, but it does not prescribe expiry dates or require wholesale rewrites simply because a plan is considered old. And what is old anyway? Look, one of the plans here dates from just 2022 and others from 2015 and 2017. They don't especially seem old to me. And I would just like to remind members, and correct me if I've got the wrong end of the stick about, because I hadn't realised it was an agenda item next week, but I'll just remind you that on 7th of February 2023, elected members were presented with item 5.6 regarding Motateri Reserve Management Plan review, which at that time was itself less than 20 years old. And the recommendation adopted by Council stated that Council approves, in accordance with Section 41.5 of the Reserves Act 1977, that a public notice of Council's intention to develop a reserve management plan for Motateri Recreation Reserve be issued. Perhaps that's the sort of recommendation coming to us next week. Anyway, look, I later came to the view that the Motateri review...
Duncan, I'm still waiting for a question. We're a few minutes in.
I am nearly there with my first question. That I later came to the view that the Motateri review need not have proceeded at all, because not proceeding was itself an entirely realistic and practicable option. So my first concern is, why is this now just being presented to us as informational only, when back in 2023 it was actually a item put forward to elected members to either approve or not?
I'm not really sure if Cara can answer that question. Maybe I'll put Nick on the spot there. I'm not sure if you're involved in that particular reserve management plan update, so is that okay, Nick?
Just before I pass to Nick, I just want to reiterate that the purpose of this paper is to let you know that next week we'll be asking for delegation to this committee for that process, and we'll go through the whole process next week.
Thank you. I certainly understand that.
there was quite a lot of context there. Could you just repeat the question, Duncan?
Oh, well, I'm interested in what the paper is next week anyway, because I'm wondering if the question, I wonder if we're going to be asked next week, are we going to approve this go ahead at all, or are we just assuming it's going ahead and we've just got to delegate it to this group? The question was, why was the Motateri reserve management review that came to full council as a question to approve for the reserve management plan to go ahead at all? I don't see. We just seem to be informed that it's going ahead anyway. So what's the difference?
Right. So in the Motateri situation, we had an old reserve management plan that wasn't deemed fit for purpose. It didn't align with the cultural values of the hapu in the area, and it didn't align with the management approach that staff wanted to take on that piece of land. At the time, there were conversations that had taken place between council and the Crown via the Department of Conservation and the hapu about the ongoing management of that land, and it was agreed that the parties would work together to review how that land was going to be managed as a reserve going forward. So that was the impetus for that specific reserve management plan review. And the discussion, as you recall, was at the time, who was the committee or the council who would be making decisions around that? And there was lots of talk about whether to set up a bespoke committee or whether full council would have decision-making process.
And actually,
in this situation, what we've got is a large selection of reserve management plans, many of which are out of date. You mentioned the one from 2022, which governs the lakefront here, which we reviewed, but that was a very targeted review specifically looking at the hole-in-one operation. Actually, the balance of the reserve management plan was done decades ago. The challenge that we've got is if we try and chip away at the review of these reserve management plans one by one, it will take us a long time. And in the meantime, we'll end up with a whole lot of inconsistency about how we manage similar issues across the reserves, across the district. What we want to do is get to a place where we've got a consistent approach with how we deal with leases, for example, on reserve land. If we've got a lease on Tongariro Domain and a lease on a piece of land in Kuratau, then we should be taking a similar approach so the community's got some idea of the consistency of our decision making as an organisation. There are also some real benefits that we can achieve in terms of management consistency. If our operational teams have only got one document to go to where it's more streamlined and you've got a consistent set of management policies, then it just makes the application of that management a lot more efficient across the...
No, I mean, but the question, still, I don't think you've quite answered my question, because obviously there was some momentum behind the Motateri review prior to the term that I started, but at very least, early in that term, we were given the option, even though I don't think we're actually given the full, properly presented with the option that we didn't have to do it. At least it was a decision before full council to even proceed with it.
Oh yeah.
Whereas this, you're still telling me that we're doing it anyway, and this is why. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Not quite. So as part of the last long-term plan, we produced a work program, as we do for all the teams across council. The work program that my team produced had this as a project in it. So we've been proceeding on the basis that we'll deliver that work program. If council decides next week that they do not wish to proceed with this as a piece of work, then we can step back and do other work. But at the moment, we're proceeding on the basis of that work program.
Oh, so to clarify, I mean, yeah, of course, we haven't seen the council paper next week. So that is the opportunity if around this table we decided we could say, no, we want to save costs, we want you doing something else. So that is the opportunity. Okay, all
You
right.
absolutely could.
Okay.
Thank
I
you
mean,
for that. Oh, have you got another question, Duncan?
Um,
Because actually, just while I've got you, I'm just going to check a few things I think I understand. We do have, under the Act, an ongoing obligation to continuously review. We can't just let them get out of date and forget about them. We are legally obligated to keep them under constant review. Is that correct?
That is our obligation.
Yeah.
Now, what you will see in a practical sense is that there are some of those where we've not been particularly active in terms of that review process.
And all of the reserve management plans that we would be undertaking, they all require public consultation, very broad public consultation. And so I guess my understanding of that work is that you want to do it together so that we can consolidate that work and keep the costs and...
It is way more efficient to review them all at once and way more efficient for our operational teams to manage them going forward if we've got a consolidated reserve management plan.
Okay, thank you for that. Did you want to jump in here, Warwick? Won't be a minute, I'll come back.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, I just wanted to stress the point of the clear legal duty to review a continuous review of our reserves. So, Councillor Campbell, if you're looking at whether we do one or not, I would stress that the question is more likely when we do the review, not necessarily whether we would do one or not.
Yeah, thanks for that. And something important for the committee to remember is that these reserve management plans are what inform our decision making as to whether we agree to a lease or a licence to occupy on reserve land. So these management plans are what we base the decision on, and that's based on consultation with the public as to how they want their reserves to be used. So it's quite an important document to keep updated to move with the community. Councillor Murch, you've got a question?
Yeah. Why? So there's 14 that are listed here. I think my first question is why are they all outdated? Why haven't we had a look at them before? Because some of them are like going way back to 1993, mate, and it's just like, why haven't
that's
we?
not that long ago.
That's ancients ago. No, that's the first question.
So I'll take this one because it relates to something that happened in 2010. So in prior to 2010, we had a number of policy and planning teams across the organisation that were dedicated to specific tasks. And one of those teams was specifically dedicated to reserve management planning.
Yeah.
In 2010, we did a restructure across the organisation. I think we cut about 25% of the staff. And all those teams got lumped together and cut by about a third. Cut by about 2/3. So we had about a third of the staffing left. That essentially put us as an organisation into a place where the only planning that we were doing was prioritised on stuff that we absolutely had to do, which was essentially the district plan and our long-term plan and our annual plan and our annual report. That was all we really had staffing for. So for a long period of time, that's been our focus. We've simply done the bare minimum to keep our head above water as an organisation. Now in the last probably 5-6 years, that's shifted. We've got to a point where we're starting to be a bit more proactive in terms of our planning, and that was why in the last long-term plan we identified going back to the suite of reserve management plans, saying the time's right, now we've got some resource to actually catch up on the work that we should have been doing over the last 15 years, but we just didn't because we were doing bare minimum.
Okay, thanks, Nick. And just supplementary to that, if I may, Kara, thank you. So I note that at the moment, there are 14 different reserve management plans, and the proposal here is that we, after delegating authority to the regulatory committee from full council to, undertake that review process, there's a proposal that we consolidate all of the 14 reserve management plans into one document. My question is there a reason why they were set out as individual management plans in the first place? And by consolidating them, are we going to face any risks, or what are there any risks around what might happen if we take these 14 different reserve management plans, clump them into one document, consolidate them into one document, and also while keeping in mind that these areas have multiple presiding hapu around each area, and I don't think it would be an easy task.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. I think you're right. It's going to be a big project. I think the key thing is that by pulling them together, they have one review date. So at the moment we have a lot of different review dates. Traditionally they were sort of done piece by piece, but there was never a holistic look at all those reserves together. So this enables us to have a holistic look, review them together, remove any unnecessary repetition, to which there is a lot, and some of them are even conflicting in terms of their history. So it allows us to take that overarching look at them, and also what you might imagine one plan to look like is not possibly what this one will be like. It will be online. What will be overarching will be the parts of it that relate to all the management plans, but we can still individualise them into categories. And at the moment, the New Zealand Rec Association is reviewing the categories for reserves, so that enables us to say, okay, here's all the sports grounds, we can look at those together, all our lakeshore reserves, so we can actually look at them together as a group, while still allowing for individuality where it happens.
Thanks for that. And I'm also acknowledging that we're able to get a large body of work out and get a bit of ahead of the game, really, with amalgamation on the cards. This is going to be a lot more difficult and a lot less local soon. Councillor Campbell and then Councillor Westerman.
Yeah, look, I'd be interested in it. I mean, the paper's already written, we'll get it later, but I'd be interested in the estimated cost and staff time for this, because I do recall the Motateri was nothing like the one-page little paper, what I expected anyway, and I would like to know, like, what specific problems are we actually trying to fix here, not just holistically talking.
I certainly appreciate that, Duncan, but you're talking about a paper that's not before this committee, so if you've got a question about...
Well, because on the face of it, it seems like we're kind of planning for planning's sake. And
we'll hold that thought, because we'll be able to have this discussion and debate at the council meeting. So
yes.
I'd like to... Have you got a question?
I do have a question.
Okay.
We need to... And this is about this, that we need to be mindful of public confidence in this processes, whether they're transparent and whether the public's input will be meaningful. Look, consultation is supposed to be genuinely open-minded and capable of affecting outcomes, but not in a way that will be disproportionately influenced by vocal minority interests. And that's what I believe did happen with Motateri.
Sorry, just waiting for that question there, Duncan.
Yes, I have the question here. So, how can the public be assured that will not happen again? I say, maybe you didn't think it happened, but I believe there's a perception out there, at least, that did happen, that vocal minority interests did disproportionately
Sorry,
influence.
Duncan, I don't think we're here to
So
discuss your
what-
opinion of Motateri
The
Reserve
question-
Management Plan, but where is your question, please?
What safeguards will be put in place to ensure these upcoming reviews are balanced, transparent, proportionate, and genuinely responsive to the wider community?
I note we're just here to receive information. Are you happy to answer that, given we've got a paper and a discussion yet to come?
Yep. The ultimate safeguard is that we have a collection of councillors sitting around this table who make the decisions. So we as officers will go through the process under Section 41 of the Reserves Act, which involves multiple rounds of engagement.
A hearing?
There is
a public hearing?
There is a
where
public
members
hearing
of the public
process.
Can participate and submit?
Just through the chair,
Sorry.
thanks,
Yep,
Councillor
there
Murch.
is absolutely a public hearing process, but in addition to that, we do a lot of engagement throughout the process that will go over well over 12 months, talking to individual groups and individual people to understand what their drivers are, what their concerns are, what they're
which is
trying
part of
to
my
achieve.
point, that this actually is
Duncan,
not a
Duncan,
small
please,
exercise.
Duncan, if
Sorry,
you don't
I'm
mind,
responding.
you need to go through the chair. Thanks
Yep,
very much.
this-
And
this-
actually, Wahine now has
I'm
the
just,
mic.
I was.
So if you,
There's-
I'm just going to.
There's a big exercise, and council next week will be asked to make a decision about whether they wish to make the ultimate decisions with regard to this process, or whether they're happy to delegate that decision making to this table in terms of the committee. That's the ultimate test for whether the process is open and transparent and responsive to the views of the community.
Thanks for that, Nick. Do you have another question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, through the chair. When we're looking at the list of management plans, I note that there are, I don't know how many, but I know that we actually have a Tute Mohuta Reserve Trust. Do we have other trusts or committees associated to those reserves, and what level of influence or engagement are those trusts going to have?
So we will be developing a specific engagement plan and partnership for where we co-manage or have trusts involved. So C75 is another example of where we have a trust, and that's part of the Tapu Waihāreru Reserve Management Plan. And I guess just to also note that Turangi Reserve Management Plan was a similar process where we focused in on Turangi and we looked at all the reserves in Turangi, and that was a process of ongoing. We did extensive engagement. It will be a very similar process to that.
Thank you for that. Councillor Westerman, you have a question?
Having chatted to Jim at the Taupo Bowls, I think their leases, they're on reserve land, and their leases due up the next year or two, couple of years. And I worry that we're just maybe only doing these 14, and there could be other reserves that are due in the forthcoming future, round the corner. And should they be included in this?
And actually, I'll just note that I've had an approach from the Bowls Club as well. They'd like to invest, which is difficult to do over a short period of time. So that is, that's a concern.
So just to note that this process covers all of our recreation reserves. So it's already, the bowls is already covered in the Tongariro Domain Reserve Management Plan. Yeah, so we will be looking at that as well.
Perfect, thank you.
What I would clarify though is thinking about leases and licenses, Parakiri, so the landing reserve down in the boat harbour, is not included as part of this. And I'm conscious that there are a number of lease and license holders in that location, and there's been some uncertainty for them for a period of time. The reason that reserve's not included in this is because under the treaty settlement legislation with Te Whārotoa, Council needs to work with Te Whārotoa to jointly develop that reserve management plan. And we can't do that until TK&T have identified the appropriate hapu for us to work with. So that's an ongoing piece of work for TK&T. Once they have done that, then we will get into a specific piece of reserve management planning in conjunction with them for that specific reserve, with the option to bring it into this this consolidated reserve management plan once it's done. But I was just conscious that's a particularly tricky piece of reserve land which is clearly not in here.
Councillor Murch.
Is that Riverside Park, Parakiri?
No, it's the landing reserve, where the float plane takes off and you've got the yacht club down there.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, if there isn't any further discussion, then the recommendation on the screen is that the Regulatory Committee receives the officer's update. Do I have a mover in the first instance? Thank you, Councillor Westerman. Seconded by Councillor Woodward. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Well, that brings us to the end of the agenda. That being the case, I'll lead you all in the closing karakia. Thank you very much, everyone. Elected members, staff, member of the public's gone, but